Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another tier list video. This is where I rank and review Billboard's top K-pop songs of a given year. So far we've covered 2021 and 2020. Now we're moving on to the previous decade with 2019. There are plenty of past hits we'll be revisiting, so stick around for that. But before we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Okay, starting us off is Jvcki by SuperM. This group was dubbed the Avengers of K-pop, if for no other reason than it being the convergence of 7 elite performers from SM Entertainment. They first joined forces in 2019 on this hard-hitting single, and it has all the ingredients of a compelling hype track. A militant beat, a shouted refrain, impeccable rap verses, all of them super catchy, and the whole song is delivered with an almost hyperbolic level of bravado. Personally, I've always enjoyed this track, even though in 2024 the SuperM project is most likely defunct. Their debut will not be forgotten. B tier. Next up is a song called Ding by the rappers Jvcki Wai, Young B, Ocean Gum, and Han Yo-han. I listened to this once while writing this video and I barely made it to the end. Jvcki Wai, who not only opens the track but also has a seemingly ceaseless presence throughout, she gives an obnoxious and insufferable mumble rap performance akin to caustic flecks of shrapnel. There is not a hint of rhyme or reason to be found. It reeks of autotune and is all around awful. The three other guys' verses are so-so as well. Overall, this is one of the worst things I've heard in a minute, and it belongs in the F tier. Moving on to 17's Fear, one of the few darker and edgier cuts in their discography, made clear in the stunning music video where they adopted a brooding aesthetic reminiscent of course, VIX and even New East's material around that time. I don't think this style of music is their strong suit, at least they have not pulled it off as successfully or convincingly as some of their contemporaries, be it BTS or TXT. With that being said, Fear is still a solid track, even though the verses feel more like a means to an end. The guys do lock in during the pre-chorus and hook. In terms of their 2019 output, I think Hit would have been a much better choice, but for now, Fear can go in the B tier. After that is the debut of AB6, Breathe. You guys know I love me a good house track. This one supplies a satisfying dance floor groove which characterizes the track's most enjoyable moments. Although it occasionally loses its footing, most of the time it's not a big issue. One of their better title tracks for sure. I'll put this squarely in the B tier. Next up we have BLACKPINK, Kill This Love. A locking change in 5 years. I remember being quite in awe at the time, as one might be witnessing this spectacle, but nowadays, listening to it again, I can't say I felt much of anything. It's fine. It's at least coherent, which is more than I can say about a lot of BLACKPINK's subsequent releases, both group and individual. I will give this a C. Number 20 on the list is ITZY's Dollar Dollar. The first time I talked about this song was 2 years ago in my very first video, The Greatest Debuts in K-pop History. Be sure to check that out. But yeah, Dollar Dollar is indeed a great debut. It still holds up. It's got great hooks, a fantastic chorus, brimming with personality from start to finish. It's ITZY at their very best. Simple as that. I think this goes handily in the A tier. After that, we have IU's Blooming. It's an exceedingly pleasant quasi pop rock tune from the nation's little sister. It initially gives off a sort of nonchalant vibe, typical of an OST, as well as many songs IU has put out in the past. Though it ends up being on the livelier and more dynamic end of her discography thanks to the injection of drama and excitement in the chorus, as IU delivers an absolutely blissful hook. I will give this a B. B for Blooming. Now, many came away from my last video gushing about Red Velvet and their discography, which I get. Red Velvet is certainly a group that K-pop fans love to love. I know there's a fair share of people who might regard Psycho as the greatest thing ever made. You know, Song of the Year for both 2019 and 2020. Red Velvet's best title track, so on and so forth. And while I do think it deserves to be on this list, similar to a lot of their previous releases, it feels like I can only admire it from a distance. For many of Red Velvet's singles, I failed to really connect with them on a deeper level, and this is no different. Evidently, Psycho is presented with beauty and grace, the vocal performances are spotless, the music video is elegant and stylish, and the melodies are very memorable. However, I'm also not a fan of the lurching rhythm in the verses. The instrumental is a bit too trappy for my taste. I think the choice of percussion sounds out of place given the luxurious atmosphere, and so in possibly the most controversial decision of the day, Psycho is going in the B tier. Maybe if you count the MV version, then we can bump it up to an A, but hey, that's just my opinion. Feel free to roast me in the comments. What You Waiting For is the name of our next song. This one is from the soloist Anda, created during her time under the Black label. It's valid, it follows a very standard EDM pop structure with an instrumental drop. Some people were curious as to why I didn't include this type of chorus as part of the discussion in my previous video. The reason is, I think it is entirely possible for a mostly or purely instrumental segment to serve as the centerpiece of a song. An EDM drop should at least fulfill its purpose of making you want to dance, and What You Waiting For does just that with its captivating and dynamic production courtesy of RT. And it would of course be remiss of me to not compliment Anda's excellent vocal performance. This will go in the B tier. Next is Psycho. Alright ladies and gentlemen, this next track is the real deal. Allow me to present NCT 127's Highway to Heaven. This is one of my favorite NCT releases in general. I knew it from the very beginning with that reverberating tone that opens the track. It just has this unexplainably nostalgic quality, even though I think I first heard the song in 2021. I love the interplay between the vocals and instrumental and how much empty space there is between one line and the next. It really helps to immerse you in the ethereal soundscape. And thank God they didn't shove an awful rap breakdown into the second verse, because if this song were made today, that's probably what would happen. For those of you who feel like I never say anything nice about 127, here you go. Easy S tier placement. Coming in at number 15 is BTS Boy With Love featuring Heize. This one has grown on me quite a bit since 2019. You can hear my detailed thoughts about it linked in the description. I would say this is in the low A to high B range, but the B tier is looking a bit crowded at the moment, so I'm going to make an executive and charitable decision and put this in the A tier. Next up is Fancy. There's no way we can talk about K-pop in 2019 without mentioning Twice. They certainly had themselves a year between this and Feel Special. Either of them would have made a good selection. But Fancy is a modern classic. Maybe my first Twice comeback. It also represented a shift in their sound, adding some darker hues to their more traditionally neon sonic color palette. The production is so good, especially during the chorus. It is pure bubblegum pop bliss. In fact, the instrumental is probably what won me over eventually. Super well done. A tier. Continuing the streak of bangers is ATEEZ's Say My Name. This is one of my favorite ATEEZ title tracks. I think it's one of the best offerings from the first half of their career up until this point, though they've long since taken a different approach to this brand of rousing, anthemic hip-hop hype track. I realize a lot of the songwriting choices I give them flack for, i.e. the blustery demeanor and the chanted chorus. They've been doing it the whole time. I guess my main gripe with the bulk of their post-2022 work is the lack of a robust melody and the lost sense of spectacle. Regardless, this formula was fresh at the time and it resulted in a generational singles run. Another addition to the A tier. We are on a roll. Number 12 is Rooftop by N.Flying. This list is not missing a beat. If you're looking for a rock song that has a persistent, head-nodding rhythm and an infectious sing-along hook that is guaranteed to lift your spirits, this is it. Sure, it doesn't really go anywhere, it certainly won't knock your socks off, but that's not the goal here. Rooftop will join the B rank. No by CLC, this one is an interesting pick. I think it does certain things very well and falls short in other aspects. The verses are great, chorus is great, the beat is mostly great. I say mostly because the slowdown after the first chorus has always bothered me. Those momentum shifts are frustratingly frequent and it all implodes at the end. Therefore, I would much prefer Devil to this, even though that song is more conventional and straightforward. I think No will just about eke by with a B. It's like right on the cusp. Alright, number 10 is a little song called Miro by Stray Kids. See, I've ingratiated myself with the N-Citizens and ATEEZ. Now it's time to suck up to the stays. Miro is a quintessential experience for all who may give K-pop a try. If I were to make a list of songs you must listen to before you die, this would definitely be on there. 3 Russia pulled out all the stops. It's got ferocious, borderline, bestial rap segments, a no-holds-barred, plowing momentum, and of course, a beat drop that sounds like nothing you've ever heard before. I mean, to call it electrifying would be selling it short, I think. You may very well get a hemorrhage listening to it. Rating-wise, I would probably give this an A, but considering its impact and standing within the industry, I think an S would be right. Stays, this right here is your group's magnum opus. Sing it loud and proud. Just like this next single, I-DLE's Lion. This was a song that I think cemented my love for I-DLE at the time. Though their music has gradually fallen out of favor with me, it was still very pleasant to look back on this track. It's a certified bop, one of the best songs to come out of the Queendom competition, if not the best. Man, I really am appeasing every fandom today, aren't I? To quote Billboard, every part of this anthem is brimming with untamed, frenetic, self-assured power that's channeled into its booming rhythms, more appropriate for a battlefield than a stage. Very well put. It may contain the best chorus Soyeon has ever written, certainly up there with Han and Hwa, an incredible triumph that is worthy of the A tier. Moving on to Hwa Sa's Twit, which comes in at number 8. I've connected with very little of anything Mamamoo related in recent years, be it group or solo releases. They've adopted a panoply of styles, but none of them have really appealed to me. Which brings us to Twit. This is Hwa Sa's debut single, an often chirpy, sometimes annoying pop tune with a catchy but ineffectual chorus. To borrow a lyric from the song, I don't like it, but I don't hate it either. It's just kind of mid, and you know where those songs go. This is my favorite line, by the way.
You're here, are you here?
One might be surprised to learn that I'm actually a big fan of ballads, but only those with splendid melodies such as AKMU's How Can I Love the Heartbreak, You're the One I Love. Written by Chan-hyuk, performed mostly by Soo-hyun, this single from the duo's 2019 album Sailing is a hauntingly beautiful and poignant piece of introspection. This list truly has been a trip down memory lane. I remember being deeply touched. That sounds wrong. I was deeply moved by this song. Back then I just thought, wow, this is perfect. 10 out of 10. And while I want to put it in the S tier, I feel like it wouldn't be fair because, you know, it's still a ballad. So we'll give it an A. Speaking of songs by GOT7, that's either the best or worst transition I've done. You Calling My Name is up next. It's quite magnificent. Right from the get-go, it engulfs you in the hazy allure. There's equally brilliant composition surrounding the chorus, presenting itself as an anti-drop on the first pass, tempering our expectations, and then hitting us with a blast of funk the second time around. Very well done, deserving of an A. At number 5, it's Heize once again, this time with We Don't Talk Together featuring Jvcki Wai. I think immediately I was captivated by that squealing synth line in the intro. Production was handled by none other than BTS's Sugar, which they really want you to know. It's a bop, plain and simple, nothing especially daring or complicated, just letting the groove do the work. B tier. TXT Runaway, still my song of the year for 2019 so far. Every one of my preferences has been mentioned on the Billboard list, so great minds think alike, I guess. I think this is probably, or definitely, TXT's greatest work. It is basically flawless. Melody is perfect, production is perfect, one of the best choruses ever written, hands down. Imagine if they had taken the Sugar Rush Ride approach to this. So instead of the chorus was boom, run away, boom, run away, boom, run away with me. I probably would have shot myself. Anyways, S tier. Okay, Chung Ha Gotta Go is up next. A pleasant retread. I discovered some very nice synth flourishes in the second part of the chorus that I didn't notice before. And of course, everybody remembers the iconic fluty floral sample at its core. Billboard described the song as slithering, which I think is apt, but when it comes to beat drops, I think I would much prefer one that really propels the song forward, like the hook in What You Waiting For. That being said, I've always adored Chung Ha's vocal performance on this track, especially that high note in the bridge. I think B is in order. Released in the same week was Apink's %%, or I've been listening to this song for 5 years, and only now have I realized the connection between %% and It's because they look similar. Anyways, this comeback seamlessly blended the old and the new, paying homage to the bubbly synthpop which put Apink on the map, while incorporating the mature sensibility of their later releases. All of that is substantially elevated by the ladies' incredible vocal tones, and while I don't think the melody is as strong as some of their other title tracks, it's still a very memorable tune. I'll put this in the ever-expanding B tier. Finally, the best K-pop song of 2019 according to Billboard is EXO's Obsession. An odd choice, if I'm being honest. It's probably one of their weakest title tracks, although of course the bar is especially high when it comes to EXO. I do like how the song skillfully zigzags between the more combative groove in the verses to the more sensuous atmosphere in the chorus, but I think the excellent arrangement is overshadowed by the excessive sing talk and very subpar refrain. It's not until the bridge where we get a much needed dose of melody, but Obsession basically stays at the same level throughout. With no defined peaks or troughs, there's not much tension and release, and hence it lacks the punch of EXO's best work. I would probably rate this a C+ or B-, but the B-row is just too crowded. I'm sorry. Bit of a lukewarm streak to end off the video, but overall a great list, very top heavy, except for that one. Let's just admire this top 3. NCT, Stray Kids, and TXT. These boy groups were just killing it in 2019, and of course ATEEZ deserves an honorable mention as well. Anyways, that will do it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit like and subscribe to the channel for more great content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.